Good evening, everyone. Welcome to ENN. Ray Rowe.
On TV.
Brought to you by Security Dodge. Go see Michelle Scalisi. And
Come get some.
Yeah.
I'd like to start off ENN tonight
Do it.
by saying good evening to Michael and Don.
This team is going to go as far as the bats take them. Would you agree with that? Bullpen's not great.
No.
You don't agree with that?
No.
Good evening to Don.
Listen, if it wasn't for Ohtani, I'd probably be dead.
I was taken out of context, but
That's what drops are.
Yeah, no.
Good evening to Don.
Sunday, we're going to see Bluey.
That was not out of context.
No, that is true. And it's good. Bluey's great. Your kids might be a little too old for it.
Yeah, they're not into
Terrific.
Bluey. No.
Terrific stuff.
Good evening to Don.
Cuts his hair with a shoe.
So, Michael, you and I had a virtually clean day today.
There's nothing that we have?
Yeah.
Wow.
We did well.
Somebody must have bought votes because it's down to it's almost 50-50 now with me and Jordan in the GOAT madness.
You think Jordan bought votes? He doesn't want to lose to you?
No, I think you bought votes, so I
No,
lose.
not me.
I was up by, it was 70-30 this morning.
Don, don't you think it invalidates the whole thing if you beat Michael Jordan?
Everything he's done invalidates the whole
but Michael
thing.
Jackson, Madonna, that's good. That's
And Tom
okay.
Brady.
And Tom Brady.
And Wayne Gretzky.
You know what? And by the way, there's a lot of votes today. Someone went looking for votes.
Yeah, because it's 1,774 votes. It's now 50-50.
And weren't the votes for this significantly lower for the other round? So something happened here.
That's what I'm saying. Somebody bought votes. And it certainly wasn't Michael Jordan.
Are you sure of that?
How cool would that be that Michael had to buy votes to beat me?
Well, no, the cooler part would be
That'd be cooler than beating him.
the cooler part would be that he cares that much. He's that because everyone knows how competitive
he
Jordan
is unbelievably competitive. If he knew this was going on, I wouldn't put it past him.
I don't think he'd buy votes, but I think it'd bother him.
Tiger's currently even through
he
7.
lost a stroke.
No one asked.
He's even through 7. But I'm not giving up.
Who's leading?
That would be Bryson still. Mr. DeChambeau, 7 under. Yeah, Scotty Scheffler, 6 under.
It kind of broke into a little sling blade, Billy Bob Thornton.
It's supposed to be my Mike Francesa, but it runs right up against New York. How's that?
I like those French fried potatoes.
I like them New York Yankees baseball. New York. New York.
Speaking of New York Yankee baseball, they've got to somehow advertise it more. I must have gotten 3 or 4 texts from friends during the game.
You know what? I don't know.
Where's the game?
You know what? I don't know.
And also, how hard is it to figure out if it's not on Yes?
Thank you.
And if it's not a Friday, it's got to be on Prime.
Here's your options, okay? If you turn on Yes, it's not on Yes.
Right. It's not on Channel 11.
All right, you know what? There's no more 11.
Right.
So maybe ESPN picked it up. Okay, ESPN didn't pick it up. Maybe I'll go to FS1. Then after that,
FS1. When are they ever?
Well, but they do.
But there's no exclusivity other than Apple TV Plus and ESPN on Sunday. It's got to be on Prime if it's not on Yes. How do you not figure that out?
I'm bothering you. Come on, what are you, the TV guy?
And you know what? Answered every one of them.
Because
I said Prime.
Because you're a mensch. You're a nice person.
They send a hot bag of crap.
Apparently, I was reading somewhere that the Peacock may tap out.
I heard, but they still want to keep that morning game on Sunday.
MLB does.
Yeah, and they're going to sell it to somebody else.
Screw you, Prime.
But you know what we haven't played today?
Monopoly.
Chutes and ladders.
Candyland.
You really
Risk.
This was one of those situations where you really got to stop on Monopoly, and that was all you needed.
Yeah, but it was just fun. Well, it became a game between Michael and myself.
Right? Who come up with the next game?
Life.
Yeah. Love Life.
Life is
a great
good.
game.
Career. You ever play Careers?
Is that a thing?
Oh yeah, it's a great game. Where you put down on a sheet of paper what you want to do in your career. I always put rich.
That's not a career. Aaron,
Yeah, we worked out, Michael.
Yeah, he did it. Aaron Rodgers was on the I Can Fly pod.
Sure.
Oh boy.
Whose pod is that, Anthony?
I believe it involves planes.
Seriously?
No, I don't know whose podcast it
Who's
is.
the guy saying I believe I can fly?
It's not with R. Kelly.
No.
That would be a different podcast.
held in a jail cell.
Right.
Well, doesn't
Aaron Rodgers go to jail?
No. I'm going to leave it out because I might say something wrong.
Yeah, you should back off.
Aaron Rodgers pee? Yes, he does.
Excuse me?
Nothing.
Oh, Don. Here's Aaron Rodgers.
Too soon?
On the I Can Fly pod. This is him talking about the VP consideration of RFK.
That's what I feel like Bobby can give us, is that hope that life can be different. And just the fact that I was mentioned, I'm sure people were like, oh, he has no, political experience. How's that worked out so far? How's that worked out in our government? All these bums who've been in government forever, who are insider trading like crazy, lining their pockets during their terms and post-career. How's that working out?
Good stuff, Aaron. You're so knowledgeable. Let's go for Aaron Rodgers back on the pod. He's still not over the injury from last season, mentally, emotionally.
Did a darkness retreat. I came out of the darkness, and basically my time in Green Bay was up. I did ayahuasca, and then a week later I got traded to the Jets. And I have this incredible off-season experience in a new city, in a new town, with new teammates, a new organization, an owner for the first time, and really falling back in love with the game that I first fell in love with when I was 5 years old. And it was absolutely beautiful and special and deep and rich and yummy and just incredible. And then one of the most heartbreaking nights of my life, when I played for place. Talk about an ego death. That's what it was.
I really got nothing. I mean, I'm not going to spend 2024 bashing this self-important guy. It must hurt his head to be that smart.
I'm angry. I'm angry that my friend Mr. C died yesterday, the biggest Jets fan I've ever known, and his season was his last season with his team was spent completely in the garbage because they had no plan in case that happened.
The only thing that he said that was that I say, well, I can understand that. It was devastating.
No, I certainly understand why you'd be upset by it. But I guess the only thing in that
also, no one uses the word yummy except me describing Rick.
Exactly,
which is just as disturbing.
But the starting the conversation with, so I'm doing ayahuasca. It's like, in one sense, I appreciate his honesty. In another sense, it's like, no, man, I don't know that you have to be saying that in every conversation. I'm sorry.
Because it makes him cooler than all of us. The darkness retreat, the
pooping on himself after the ayahuasca.
He is cooler and more evolved than us. And he likes to remind us. And you know what? I'm glad he does. I'm glad that every single time he opens his mouth, I know I'm a lot different than Aaron Rodgers.
I have two more clips. One's 35 seconds, one is 19 seconds. Over under on nozzly things he says that makes us all sort of cringe.
2.
I'm putting it at 1.5.
I'm over.
You want to go over, Don?
Over.
You're both going over 1.5. There's only 54 seconds left to play.
He can do that. He can do that in 10 seconds.
We'll get a bell.
Right,
who's the judge?
Let me find my ding. What page is my ding on?
Excuse me?
Add it to the list.
That's the winner next year.
Put it on the ENN audio page.
K Elements, the blue one.
Just put it on ENN audio for me if you don't mind. Here we go. I found my ding. Here we go. Aaron Rodgers on the I Can Fly pod.
I was heartbroken on September 11th in the locker room thinking my career might be over. And that's how I'm going to go out. After all the beauty and the summer and Hard Knocks and a new team and just being in New Jersey and the excitement, talking with our amazing fan base and just feeling just the energy and the momentum building. And then that. I look back now and so much changed in my life for the better. And I often have a hard time with people who say, everything happens for a reason. Just got to trust it. Sometimes I call it on that. Part of it is the ego wanting things to just be a little bit easier sometimes.
Nothing. That was all legitimate.
You guys are down to 19 seconds, and you need 2 here to get a win. Let's see. Here it is. This is a little bit more of A-Raj.
So much happened in my life the last 6 months that never would have happened had I been healthy. I wish things had been different for myself, for the organization, for our fans, for so many players I love playing with. But I'm also very grateful for the many lessons and once again, the ego death and the phoenix rising from the ashes. A better version of myself.
I think he might have caught 2. A second ego death and a phoenix rising at the end.
That was
last minute.
Now, Anthony, conspicuously absent is the John quote. Are we staying away from that or what?
Well, I don't know if that was. I have what's in our system.
Okay.
Oh, see, well, that's not an answer.
So he speculated that JFK Jr.
Yeah.
was taken out. The plane crash wasn't an accident.
Right.
I want to hear it again. That's what I heard. Early, so it had to be somewhere.
I'd love to go.
And he also implied that right now RFK Jr. is in danger. Him running for president, he's in danger, implying that a similar fate may be awaiting Robert because of what happened to his dad, what happened to his uncle,
what
happened to his
people
cousin.
are going to take out Robert Kennedy because they're scared of him getting 0.5% in the election. I mean, what's the?
Well, I think they're scared of him tilting the election one way or the other.
Oh, so Michael, you also believe that?
I don't believe anything. I have no belief system.
Well, you have a hunch, though.
No, I don't even have a hunch.
But you've given us a reason why he should be scared.
No, I mean, any public figure that doesn't have security and they're not giving him Secret Service protection, I guess you have to be concerned if you're him, especially with his family's history.
It's interesting because it's not like anything Rogers said there politically was like super out there risky, you know, saying that honestly, you don't love
he's not
what we have, but at the same time
he's supporting his guy. Listen, is he really any different? Let's be honest here. It's odd because it's an independent and it's a guy that's not going to win. But is it any different than somebody that's supporting Biden or supporting Trump? My candidate can make things better. We're in a bad place right now. The other politicians are crooked. No, it's no different. He's throwing support to his guy.
No, it's just interesting. So real quick, you have a problem with the same old of government. These career politicians. So you're going to support granted the very weird version, but a member of the most decorated political family in the history of our country. Right. Not exactly. You didn't exactly go find someone out of nowhere.
I did.
His name is Robert Kennedy.
But it just shows you how sometimes he is very smart. Because he did say today, going back to JFK, meaning after JFK was killed, that's when it all went apart. See?
It was fine up till then.
But, so Ted was in Senate.
He didn't like LBJ.
Not an LBJ
Didn't like Nixon.
No.
Didn't like Reagan. Didn't like Jimmy.
You skipped Gerald.
Didn't like Gerald. No. Didn't like Jimmy.
What's up, baby? You good?
Didn't like Ronnie. Didn't like
George.
Barack,
GHW.
George didn't like them.
No.
And didn't like Trump and doesn't like Biden.
What's his... I'm curious. I want to hear... I want to hear him open up a little bit more on Barack. Why he's so anti-Barack.
Well, because, again, he's very strategic. I have answers for you.
Because he's never said that. I haven't heard him go on...
He doesn't like the two-party system.
So he'll just chalk it up to that. Because didn't he... What was the word he used to call them all? Hacks? Or they're all bums? I think bums.
I think he said bums. But he doesn't like the whole,
bleeping bums. You know what? I want to see him say it to Barack's face. That's what and by the way, Barack, a football fan. I want to see that conversation. I don't think he'd say it. Let's hear from Jeremy Schaap, who I love getting perspective on big sports stories like the passing of O.J. Simpson. Here's an interesting story, Michael. Jeremy Schaap was on with Greeny telling a story about Jim Brown's thoughts on O.J. Simpson.
Okay.
I'll never forget this. Maybe just a few days after the murders took place, I was out in Los Angeles covering, the story, the investigation, the arrest, the chase, the murders, all that. And I was working with Andrea Kramer, the longtime ESPN reporter, and we went to Jim Brown's house to interview Jim Brown about O.J. Simpson. And I remember sitting down across from Jim, and Jim said, I don't remember the exact words verbatim, but he said words to the effect of pointing at the camera, is that thing on? And I indicated him, yes, we're rolling. And he looked right into the camera, past me, past Andrea, and said, O.J., for once in your life, be a man and admit what you did. And that's a pretty loaded statement, right? And I don't think we used it. It might have been too prejudicial, too presumptive, however you want to characterize it. But it gives you a sense of how Jim Brown felt about O.J. Simpson. And Jim Brown was far from an angel, as we know as well.
Interesting.
Well, Jose Canseco has rung in.
Okay.
No less credible a figure.
Hey, he was right about the steroids.
He
right,
said
Michael?
O.J. Simpson was a murderer. His death should not be glorified. Jose
Canseco said that.
2-line tweet.
But remember, he took that fly ball right off the top of his head.
You don't think he's recovered? That was like 1989.
Don, you don't know the effects of a head trauma like that.
Well,
could be so many things. Hey, let's ask Mel Kiper a question. I don't know if you guys know, the draft is rapidly approaching.
Yeah, I'm hearing that.
And Mel Kiper Jr. was on a DNR. Will the Giants take a QB somewhere in this draft?
It seems like it. Personally, I get it. I like Daniel Jones. And I always have. You guys know that. You got to give guys some help. That's why I always said taking a quarterback at 6, well, you're hanging Daniel Jones out to dry. You're basically doing what the New England Patriots did to Mac Jones. I guess the Joneses just can't do very good here. They did it with David Carr in Houston. You can't forget about your quarterback, guys. They're not Superman. So these teams want to blame the quarterback and cut the quarterback, move on from the quarterback. Everybody wants to rip the quarterback. Quarterback's going to be as good as the players around them. So if you're going to put an offensive line that can't protect, they're all lay blocking, you can't have the big-time receiver. They haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver since 2018. They haven't had any explosive pass plays since Daniel Jones came in. Why? Because they don't have any receivers that can be explosive. So that's why I gave them the most explosive receiver in this draft, which is Malik Neighbors.
I'll tell you what, I give Mel credit. He continues to bang the drum for Daniel Jones.
He's been pretty consistent.
Yeah. He's been on with us. He says it. It's the Giants' fault. But there are quarterbacks that don't have much protection, and they're much better than Daniel Jones.
But, there's a combination of no protection and no weapons. Now, we'll see if one wide receiver, a rookie at that, is going to change things. But, Michael, if they don't like any of these quarterbacks, and they're paying Daniel Jones $40 million this year, and they think that a great wide receiver like Neighbors can change the narrative, and you redo the offensive line, isn't that better than drafting a quarterback you really don't like just for the sake of, hey, we picked a quarterback?
Of course it does. Is Malik Neighbors any relation to Jim Neighbors?
Well, he's decided to spell it differently.
Oh, okay.
So I would think no.
Maybe
Tiger's
the distance
currently
himself.
even.
It's a stroke.
No one asked.
But you know what we haven't played today?
Monopoly.
Let me find my ding. What page is my ding on?
Excuse me?
I found my ding.
Are you bored? You didn't like our conversation?
I was just updating everyone with everything that's happened so far.
So like highlights.
I felt like the Neighbors conversation had worked its way out. We were done with it now. You said related to Neighbors. You said spelled different.
Do you even know who Jim Neighbors is?
He's
unbelievable.
Jim
We're living in different worlds.
Gomer Pyle.
I was going to say he's an actor.
Well, he's not quite like Cary Grant. He's Gomer Pyle.
And he had a great voice.
Gomer Pyle was an impactful character.
Do you remember Me, Myself, and Irene?
Sure.
When they're looking at him singing at the campfire, listen to that voice.
Yeah,
that's Gomer Pyle.
He sang the national anthem at
he would
Indy
sing
500, right?
No, he would sing what is it? The Indiana song. Back home in Indiana, he'd always sing that to get things started for the Indianapolis 500.
Oh, well, I'm glad we covered that today. Hey,
he doesn't know Jim Neighbors. That's crazy.
I now remember, and I certainly remember. That's Gomer Pyle. How happy Jimmy Carrey was pointing out to his kids, who are not his kids.
You watch Richard Pryor. Okay.
Tom Brady was on the Deep Cut Pod, and Michael
just wandered off.
Michael we lost him mid-show.
Very odd ENN. I love every second of it.
Tom Brady was on the Deep Cut Pod, and he had some thoughts on Josh Allen and his future.
Next quarterback to win a Super Bowl that hasn't won yet.
I like Josh Allen a lot. I think he's. I'd pick Josh.
Josh?
Yeah. I like Josh a lot as a guy, as a leader. But, he's got to get past the Chiefs, and that's hard because Patrick's incredible in the way he leads that team.
Now, real quick, so that's the warm-up conversation about Josh
Tom
Allen.
Didn't get worried about the Stephon Diggs trade?
He's not as worried as everyone else is. But Tom Brady, also on the Deep Cut Pod. Are you completely writing off a comeback one day, Tom?
One day there's a situation, right? Maybe it's the 49ers, maybe, heading to the playoffs. Offense is great.
Patriots,
somebody,
Raiders,
look,
could be, you never know.
God forbid somebody goes down. Would you pick up that phone?
I'm not opposed to it. If they would, I don't know if they're going to let me if I become an owner in the NFL team, but I don't know if, I don't know. I'm always going to be in good shape. Always be able to throw the ball. So to come in for a little bit, like MJ coming back, I don't know if they let me, but I wouldn't be opposed to it.
That's whose pod is the Deep Cut Pod?
Nobody's answering your question.
No.
think it's right next to the I Can Fly pod.
I can't even do it. But that's, that was pretty much a resounding, I'm down to come back, as far as I could tell.
Fox must be thrilled.
I mean,
they're trying to plan their.
By the way, they deserve what they get with the money they throw at these guys to call games that you could have Bear and Rocky. If they announced that Bear and Rocky were going to be the #1 team on Fox next season, and all Rocky did was cough for 3.5 hours, it would make no difference for ratings.
They never paid attention to our comments about Here Comes Football.
I know. They should have listened to you guys. And Michael, with that bat, Michael's holding I'd say 5.5 foot high bat.
See, I'm 6'4".
I nailed it, I think. Maybe, 5.5 feet, Don?
Not 5.
5 feet. Don, Michael's holding a 5-foot bat with an American flag grip on it.
Now, there's a story behind it.
You could hold that up, and you could do a Here Comes Baseball intro.
And this was in this garbage bin outside. And I said, I'm taking this home. This would look great in my office. Now, I want to see if they let me leave the building with it.
Of course they will.
No. If you have, if I just took a TV, they'd stop me.
No, but
this was in the garbage.
That's not a TV. You're going to walk out with that no problem. You kidding me?
And if they try to come at you, you
hit them with the bat.
You got one of the biggest bats I've ever seen.
Excuse me?
Thank you.
That'll do it for ENN. Brought to you by Security Dodge. Shop 24/7 at securitydodge.com during their Dodge Power Shot Days Jeep celebration event and Ram Truck Month.
Never heard an ENN as odd as this one, and it was fantastic.
So do you have anything to do with the Rangers coming up?
Pre and post.
Oh, all right, good.
I'm going to do the pre on 1050 because the Knicks are on 98.7.
Right.
And then I'm going to, like a gentleman, get on the subway, go to MSG, go to the
that's
suite.
right. You're wearing a sport coat today.
Eat some delicious Korean barbecue wings.
Yeah, I like those wings.
And a burger. They very underrated.
The burgers are great.
Yeah, they really know what they're doing.
They're almost Wheatworthy.
They didn't have them last time I was there.
You know, they took away Wheatworthy chicken fingers and they put a burger in.
They added the Wheatworthy burger.
Is it Pat LaFrida or is that the Mets that have Pat LaFrida?
Pat Morita.
No, not Pat Morita. In the words of Billy Joel, life is a series of hellos and goodbye. I'm afraid it's time for goodbye again. See you, everybody. Big show tomorrow.